Acting with ownership before you get the title is one of the most powerful mindset shifts you can make on your path to success. Most people wait for permission, they wait for recognition, they wait for someone to hand them authority before they begin behaving like a leader. But the truth is, leaders are not chosen first, they are noticed because they have already been leading long before they have the title to prove it. Ownership is about deciding that you are responsible for the outcomes in your life, even when you are not the one in charge. It's understanding that the results you produce are a direct reflection of the standards you hold yourself to. When you think this way, you stop blaming circumstances, you stop pointing at other people, and you stop waiting for external validation. You start moving differently. You start treating every task, every project, and every responsibility as if your name is on it because mentally it already is. The moment you begin operating with ownership, you elevate yourself. You become the person who shows up early, not because anyone told you to, but because that is what excellence looks like. You become the person who solves problems instead of simply identifying them. You become the person who sees what needs to be done and does it without being asked. This is the behavior of people who rise quickly because they are already practicing the mindset required at the next level. Ownership also transforms how you respond to challenges. Instead of seeing obstacles as unfair or inconvenient, you see them as opportunities to prove your capability. You stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start asking, "What is this teaching me? How can I grow from this?" That shift alone will separate you from everyone who is still stuck in a reactive mindset rather than a proactive one. This mindset is especially important before you achieve major success. If you think, "Once I succeed, then I'll act like it," you'll never get there. Wealth, leadership, influence, these things don't create discipline, confidence, or responsibility. They reveal the discipline, confidence, and responsibility you have been building. Acting with ownership today sets the foundation for how you will handle bigger opportunities tomorrow. When you take ownership, you also change the relationship you have with your goals. They stop being wishes and start becoming commitments. You no longer hope things will work out, you make decisions that ensure they do. This is what creates trust in yourself. Every time you follow through, every time you take initiative, every time you do the uncomfortable thing instead of the easy thing, you reinforce the belief that you can depend on yourself. And when you trust yourself, you move faster, take bigger risks, and pursue goals with a level of certainty that others can feel. The people who rise in life are not the ones with the most talent, luck, or connections. They are the ones who act like the role they want before anyone gives it to them. If you want to build wealth, act like someone who respects time, who executes consistently, who thinks strategically. If you want leadership roles, act like someone who takes charge, who communicates clearly, who elevates the people around them. Ownership is not about authority, it's about attitude. It's about showing through your actions that you are ready for more. And when you do that consistently, the title eventually catches up to the person you have already become. Focusing on growth instead of excuses is one of the most transformative choices you can make, because excuses feel comforting in the moment, but they steal your future in silence. Growth, on the other hand, is often uncomfortable, inconvenient, and demanding, but it's the only path that leads to the life you actually want. When you decide to prioritize growth, you stop negotiating with your limitations and start negotiating with your potential. And that shift alone separates those who stay stuck from those who rise. Excuses are easy to create because they protect your ego, they give you a way out, they allow you to say, "It's not my fault," or "I'll start later," or "maybe when things get better." But excuses don't make your life easier, they make it smaller. Every time you allow an excuse to decide for you, you reinforce the belief that you're not capable of more. You train your mind to choose safety over progress. Growth requires the opposite. It demands that you look at your weaknesses without flinching, take ownership of your shortcomings, and confront the uncomfortable truth that you could be doing more and you should be doing more. The moment you choose growth, your internal dialogue changes. Instead of saying, I can't, you start asking, how can I? Instead of saying, I don't know, you ask, where can I learn? Instead of saying, this is too hard, you remind yourself that difficulty is part of the process. Growth-oriented thinking is about believing that skills can be developed, habits can be built, and limits can be expanded. It's not about being naturally gifted, it's about being relentlessly committed. People who focus on growth don't wait for the perfect moment because they understand that perfection is a trap. There will never be an ideal time, flawless conditions, or a guaranteed outcome. They take messy action. They learn quickly, they adjust, they iterate, they improve. This is why they accelerate faster than everyone else, not because they have fewer setbacks, but because they refuse to let setbacks define their story. Growth also requires letting go of the stories you tell yourself about who you are. If you believe you're someone who procrastinates, who gives up, who can't stay consistent, then that belief becomes your ceiling. Focusing on growth means rewriting that story. It means showing up even when you're tired. It means doing the work even when you don't feel motivated. It means proving to yourself, through repeated action, that you are becoming the kind of person who follows through. Another key part of growth is learning to seek feedback instead of avoiding it. Most people hate feedback because it exposes their flaws, but growth-minded people crave it because it exposes their blind spots. They don't get offended by correction, they get energized by it. They know that every piece of feedback is an opportunity to improve faster. When you stop making excuses and start focusing on growth, you unlock a level of momentum most people never experience. Excuses freeze you, growth moves you, excuses keep you safe, growth makes you strong, excuses protect your comfort, growth protects your future. If you want to create a life that expands instead of shrinks, choose growth every single time. Not because it's easy, not because it feels good, but because it builds you into the person capable of achieving everything you say you want. Using time as your most valuable asset is one of the most important disciplines you can develop if you want to elevate your life, your income, and your impact. Money can be lost and made again. Opportunities can disappear and reappear. Skills can be learned at any age, but time is the only resource you can never get back. And the people who rise the fastest are not the ones with the most talent. They are the ones who treat every hour like an investment, not an accident. When you start valuing your time, the first thing that changes is your awareness. You stop moving through your days unconsciously. You stop waking up without intention. You stop letting distractions interrupt your priorities. Instead, you begin asking better questions. Where is my time actually going? What am I giving my energy to? Is this task aligned with the life I'm trying to build? Most people avoid these questions because the honest answers can be uncomfortable. But those who truly want to grow face the truth directly. Their success will only be as strong as their relationship with time. Using time as your most valuable asset also means understanding the difference between being busy and being productive. Being busy is easy. Anyone can fill a day with tasks, notifications, or mindless activity, but productivity is intentional. Productivity is measured. Productivity is choosing to work on the highest impact actions instead of everything that screams for your attention. Millionaire thinkers prioritize needle-moving work, not noise. They ask, what is the one thing I can do today that brings me closest to the future I want? And then they build their day around that answer, not around convenience. When you value time, you start setting boundaries with people, with distractions, and with your own habits. You stop saying yes to everything because you understand that every yes is also a no to something else. You stop letting low-value tasks eat up your mental bandwidth. You separate what's urgent from what's important. You recognize that interruptions, procrastination, and indecision are silent killers of potential. The truth is, your calendar reveals your priorities more honestly than your words ever will. If someone looked at your schedule, would they see discipline, growth, and purpose, or would they see avoidance, chaos, and randomness? Hyper performers don't rely on motivation, they rely on structure, they protect their morning, they plan their actions, they follow through even when they don't feel like it, not because they're superhuman, but because they understand that consistency compounds. Using time as your most valuable asset also means investing in long-term gains instead of short-term gratification. You choose learning over scrolling. You choose building over complaining. You choose progress over comfort. You understand that small, repeated actions performed consistently will do more for your future than sporadic bursts of effort ever will. Ultimately, when you treat time as your greatest asset, you stop living reactively and start living intentionally. You build momentum, you build discipline, you build a future aligned with your vision, and the person who controls their time will always control their results. Making decisions based on data instead of drama is one of the most powerful shifts you can make if you want to grow faster, lead better, and create predictable success. Most people operate on emotion. They react to how they feel in the moment rather than what the facts are telling them. And while emotion is natural, it is also unreliable. Feelings change, data doesn't. When you learn to make decisions from information instead of impulse, your life becomes clearer, calmer, and far more effective. Drama is tempting because it gives you a storyline. It gives you someone to blame, something to exaggerate, or a reason to delay action. Drama expands the problem, but data exposes the truth. Instead of thinking everything is going wrong, the data might show that only one area needs improvement. Instead of saying nothing is working, the numbers might show exactly what is working and what isn't. Data removes the emotional fog that keeps you stuck. When you think with data, your focus shifts from reacting to solving. You begin asking better questions. What are the real numbers? What is actually happening? What pattern do I see? What decision does the data support? These questions pull you out of emotional storytelling and bring you into clarity, and clarity is where smart decisions are made. Using data also protects you from making decisions based on insecurity or anxiety. When you don't have data, your mind fills the gap with assumptions, exaggerations, or worst case scenarios. Suddenly, a small setback feels like a disaster. A single mistake feels like failure. But the moment you look at the numbers, you regain perspective. You see the reality instead of the emotional version of the situation. Another advantage of data-driven thinking is speed. Emotional decisions take longer because you're sorting through fear, doubt, frustration, or overthinking. Data decisions are direct. When the numbers tell you the truth, you don't waste time guessing. You can pivot quickly, adjust confidently, and execute with purpose because you know exactly why you're making the choice. Data also keeps you accountable. It's easy to tell yourself you're working hard, but data asks, did you actually follow through? Did your actions produce results? Did you improve compared to last week? Numbers don't lie. They show your patterns, your progress, and your blind spots. And once you know the truth, you can't hide from it, you can only fix it or repeat it. Most importantly, choosing data over drama builds emotional maturity. You learn to separate how you feel from what you need to do. You learn to pause before reacting. You learn to lead yourself with logic, not impulse. High-level thinkers don't get pulled into unnecessary chaos because they train themselves to rise above noise and focus on facts. This mindset doesn't remove emotion, but it puts emotion in the right place. Feelings can inform you, but they should never direct your decisions. Facts should, because decisions built on drama lead to inconsistency, but decisions built on data lead to growth. You can measure, repeat, and scale. When you choose data over drama, you choose clarity over confusion, progress over panic, and results over reaction. And that single shift will change the speed and stability of your entire journey. Playing the long game means deciding that you're building a life, not chasing a moment. It means understanding that real success isn't a sprint, it's a strategy, and the people who win big are the ones who stay consistent long after everyone else gets tired, distracted, or impatient. Chasing quick wins feels exciting in the beginning, but it creates instability. Building, on the other hand, creates momentum that compounds over time. When you choose to build, you stop looking for shortcuts and start focusing on systems, habits, and decisions that make your future stronger. Most people chase because they want results fast. They want success without the seasons of preparation. They want rewards without repetition. They want growth without patience. But chasing puts you in a cycle where you constantly react to what's urgent instead of creating what's important. It has you jumping from one idea to another, one goal to another, one plan to another, never staying long enough to master anything. Building forces you to slow down, commit, and do the work that actually matters, even when no one sees it. When you play the long game, you stop thinking in days and start thinking in years. You stop asking, "How do I get success fast?" and start asking, "How do I make success last?" That shift changes everything: your discipline, your priorities, your resilience. You begin making choices that support who you want to become, not who you are right now. You stop doing things for validation and start doing them for mastery. You realize that every day you stay consistent, every day you improve a little, every day you choose growth over comfort. You're stacking bricks that will eventually become a foundation strong enough to hold the life you want. Playing the long game also requires patience with yourself. Growth is not instant. Progress is not linear. Some seasons are about learning, others are about building, and some are about waiting. The people who quit early often do so because they mistake temporary slowdowns for permanent failure. But when you are committed to the long game, you understand that setbacks are part of the process. They refine you, they teach you, they strengthen you. You don't see obstacles as signs to stop. You see them as instructions to adjust. The long game also teaches discipline. It forces you to rely on consistency instead of intensity. Anyone can be motivated for a week. Anyone can work hard for a short burst, but long-term builders show up on the days they don't feel like it. They follow through when it's boring, not just when it's exciting. They keep learning, keep practicing, keep refining because they know repetition is what creates mastery. Most importantly, building instead of chasing gives you control. When you chase, you are always dependent on external factors, opportunities, timing, luck, circumstances. But when you build, you become the source. You create the skills, the systems, the structure, and the habits that guarantee your future. You stop hoping for success and start engineering it. Playing the long game is not glamorous in the beginning. It's slow, it's steady, it often feels invisible, but that's what makes it powerful. Because while everyone else is looking for the next big break, you're creating a life that doesn't need breaks or luck, just discipline, vision, and time. The long game rewards those who stay committed, stay intentional, and stay focused. And when your results finally arrive, they don't just show up, they stay.